This is my whole world. My nurse, my mom, my sickness. I'm 18 and I've never been outside. If I did, I would probably die.
Hi, my mom sent a bunt.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Is your daughter around?
No, she isn't.
Low lights, cold nights, remember when I call you every now and then. So good that on and off again and on again. Oh.
I see you checking your email and looking for him out the window. He's kind.
We don't have to call it love.
When I talk to him, I feel like I'm outside.
He's here.
Who's here? You're really different than I thought you were gonna be.
Sexier, right? What would happen if you went outside?
Probably spontaneous combustion. Here I have HEPA filters, outsized viruses and bacteria.
Where would you go if you could?
The ocean. I've never seen it.
These four lonely walls have changed the way I feel.
Are you sure you feel fine?
Actually, I feel perfect.
The way I feel. I'm standing still.
Is it always like that?
It's never like that.
It's not up to you to decide what she needs.
You have to go.
She was my friend.
She was supposed to keep you safe. You can't see him again.
Where else can I go? Where else can I go? Chasing you.
Dear Mom, I know staying in this house keeps me alive, but this isn't living. I want to experience everything. Everything.
Maddy, what are you doing? Go back inside.
No, Olly, I have to know if I'm really sick. And the only way that I'll know is if I'm outside.
Maddy, what's wrong?
I'm messing up your life.
My life is better with you in it.
Madeline, you're all I have left. I can't lose you.
I'm willing to sacrifice everything just to live one perfect day.
I'm ready to face it all.
Let's keep it going for everything, everything. Since we're so lucky to have so many of you on this stage, I think it'd be great if each of you could introduce yourselves and tell us who you play or how you're connected with the project. Maybe we can start with you, Nicola.
So I'm Nicola Yoon, and I wrote the book. Thanks, you guys.
I'm Stella Meghie, and I'm the director of the movie.
I'm Anika Noni Rose, and I play Dr. Pauline Whittier.
I'm Nick Robinson. I play Olly Bright.
And I'm Ana de la Reguera, and I play Carla.
So to start this conversation off, I'd like to touch upon the sick lit genre. We've seen a lot of movie adaptations of books in recent years about a teen romance where one partner is battling an illness. So I'm curious, why do you think these stories are resonating with younger audiences, and how does Everything Everything do it a little bit differently? This is open to anyone, but maybe you can start us off.
Yeah, so I mean, I think what it does is it heightens the teen experience, right? Because teenagers are very often sort of trapped by their families or their parents' rules, and this sort of is a nice way to heighten it and sort of explore the ways in which they're trapped and how they push against boundaries. So I think it's just one of those things that we creative types, it's perfect for us to explore all those issues.
Right, and what you do so well in the book is really capture this inner life, Maddy's inner life. And so I'm curious, you know, since the book had a lot of original artwork and illustrations and almost had this sort of diary feel, how was it hard to adapt that material? How was it to translate Maddy's inner life onto the big screen?
I mean, I think it had its challenges in adapting because Nicola's book has such a unique tone to it, like you said, such like different, you know, pieces to it. And I wanted to really preserve like that quirkiness and that whimsy and that some of the darkness in it and the romance and bringing all that together into a film. And, you know, I think we both thought of it like a dark fairy tale in a way. Maybe I thought about it as dark fairy tale, you thought about it as a fairy tale. She's more optimistic than me, but.
We are yin and yang, you and I. Yeah.
but I think the tone is very special in the book, and I think our tone is what's a little different than some other YA adaptations.
Well, yes, it all started with you. You published Everything Everything in 2015 and became a New York Times bestseller. So I'm curious, where did you find inspiration for the book? And did you ever imagine that you'd be here and the book would be adapted into a movie?
Definitely no. I never imagined that. I started writing the book when my daughter was 4 months old, and I was a completely nervous mom. I was the mom who thought my kid was going to get a cold and eat dirt and crawl outside, and I was a worrier. And I started thinking about what life would be like if I had to take care of her for like 18 years the way you take care of an infant. And then I switched it to be from her point of view in my mind, and that is what inspired the story. Yeah, so basically nervousness, you guys.
Well, she may not be here, but Amandla Stenberg is really the heart of this film, and
She's working.
Yes,
She's a working girl.
Busy girl, I imagine. We met her in the Hunger Games, but she's really become such an inspiring figure to so many people, but especially young women of color. And so I'm curious, were you involved in the casting process, and did you envision Amandla when the whole movie news broke?
Well, I'll let Stella talk about this one too, but when I heard Amandla was on the list, I basically freaked out. I was like, oh, please, please, please give her to me, please. Do you remember that conversation?
I do. She held it back, and then when I told her that's who we were thinking of, she's like, yes, exactly, perfect.
I want to talk to you, Nick. You and Amandla have such instant and incredible chemistry in the film. So talk to us about Olly and what draws these two characters together.
Yeah, I think that the chemistry that you saw is pretty natural and organic. It just happened when we met for the first time. Amandla has like a really, really strong personality and a voice and a point of view, and I think that really played into it. And as far as Olly goes, I think that the characters are drawn together kind of through like a curiosity, really more than anything. I mean, he moves in, he's trying to figure out the neighborhood, and there's this girl next door that never leaves her house. So there's I think it's just a mutual curiosity on both their parts.
What struck me, you mentioned feeling trapped, and in very different ways, both of them feel trapped in their houses. Olly sort of contending with a difficult family situation at home, and Maddy is living in this air-sealed, beautiful house, kind of looking outward. Is that something that really pulls them together, you think?
Yeah, they are both trapped in their own way, for sure. I think that Maddy is trapped, like you said, by her house, by her disease, by her situation, and so she's literally trapped. And Olly is more trapped by the circumstance. I mean, his family doesn't have the best home life. He is sort of feels like he needs to be the protector to his siblings and to his mom, and so he feels very compelled to stay with him, even if it's a bad situation. And I think what they do is they free each other from their own boundaries, literally and metaphorically. I can see Nicola nodding her head, and so I'm doing okay, I think. But
You're doing awesome.
So yeah, I think that they free each other from their own prisons.
Right, and aside from the romance between these two young characters, the story is really sort of about a mother and a daughter and what we do for our children and these boundaries. And Anika, you play Maddy's mother in the film, and you sort of take your concern for her health and well-being to the extreme to sort of protect your daughter. How did you approach this role, and were you able to relate to that struggle?
I approached it with love. I feel like everything that my character does, she does with her child's well-being in mind. She does with this extraordinarily strong, somebody called it relentless love. So every decision is made to keep her safe, to keep her healthy. Every decision is made in the house to make sure that she's happy, that she can feel outside, even though she can't go outside, to try to bring as much outside inside as we can. And love is something that can be all-encompassing, and that can be wonderful, or that can be stifling, or that can be a stopgap. And I'm also somebody dealing with grief, so I'm not actually dealing with it. I'm actually just moving through it and moving through the days, but all of my energy is being funneled into my child. So my thought pattern was with love, with love. Everything I deny is denied with love. Everything I give is given with love. And that's how I approached her character.
Well, your performance is so heart-wrenching, and you really feel this sort of, this fierce love that you have for Maddy. What is your relationship with Amandla offset? Did you guys get along well? Did that sort of translate?
I love Amandla so much. I'm really happy to say that of the things that I'm taking away from the film, the number one thing that I'm taking away from is her.
What about me, Anika?
Okay, well, you're 3.5, but you're still there. You know, it's rare that you get to walk away from a set with. I always walk away with one set friend. This time I walked away with more than one, which is really pleasing. But she was really, it's true. Like, I'm not that girl. I'm not gonna make that up. She is somebody I have a lot of respect for, that I really enjoy. She's very smart. She's very open. She's extraordinarily creative. I truly believe, I used to tell her, I see you over there changing the world. Because she'd be like doing something artistic, but also so poignant, a cartoon or something she was building or something like that. And that's just who she is. So she's very much the person that you see online, but she's also just a very thoughtful and a humanist, really. I care for her very deeply, so it was very easy to portray her mother because I didn't have to manufacture any care or any like. And that's a lovely thing.
Well, that definitely comes across on screen. And your character clashes a little bit with Anna's character. So you are hired to sort of take care of Maddy while Anika's character is at work. And you two, of course, develop a really strong friendship because there are so few people in her life. Talk to me about the connection that you have with her.
Yeah, I also, you know, I've been with her since she's a little baby, and she's like my daughter. I have a daughter too, but I know her as well as probably Pauline does. And I just wanted to play her, you know, being really contrasting with Pauline. So, because, you know, I think the character needed that, and also she as a character feels like she needs some relief when, you know, she's with me. I don't want to be the nurse that is only there for, you know, taking her blood pressure. I just want it to be, you know, her confidant, her best friend, someone that she can talk to. And I also talked to nurses before I did the role, and they become family. So it was great to, you know, you always know how important it is to be a nurse, like that. It's a great, you know, I just really admire what they do. But after experiencing a couple of days with this great nurse, I was like, they're just family, and that's why it's so painful what happens after. Mm.
Well, you sort of facilitate this romance in a sense with the boy next door, Olly, where you invite him over, creating sort of the spark that allows these two characters to really...
You're a bad nurse.
Yeah, but you got lucky.
I did.
Yeah, so it was, you know, and also, you know, the character and Amandla, what she brings into the character was great. Like Anika said, it was just so easy to connect with her, and I loved her immediately after, you know, talking a little bit to her. So it was great.
Well, one of my favorite sequences in the film is when you and Amandla go to Hawaii, and it's so beautifully shot, first and foremost. It's just
Thank you.
Gorgeous, but it also really represents these two characters breaking free. I think everyone's imagined just using a credit card, booking a flight to Hawaii, and just, you know, bolting. So talk to me, Stella, about that sequence in the film and what that really represented in sort of the timeline of these characters' journeys.
I mean, when she finally decides to kind of step outside, and, you know, we call it kind of her walk on the moon, and everything is slow and bright and loud, and, you know, when she stepped out of the house, I just wanted to show the scope of the world. And, you know, we kind of goes from kind of more still shots to kind of more sweeping, and when they get to Hawaii and we're just like over top, just driving with them and just feeling, you know, I just wanted everyone to feel what it would be like to be out in the world for the first time through Maddy's eyes. And it's just a very freeing moment for her and for the audience because we've been trapped inside the house for so long.
Yeah, I love also the music choices in that sequence. We start with the Alessia
Cara
Cara song, and then Kehlani's Escape, right?
Kehlani, yeah.
Yeah, the scene with you two in the water where you're sort of teaching her how to swim almost, you're holding, kind of cradling her. What was that like to film? Because it's so intimate watching it. You really feel like you're peering into this moment with these characters.
Yeah, I think that is the moment where Maddy really lets go and is able to, you know, enjoy herself. It was a lot of fun to shoot. I mean, we got to hang out on a beach all day, so it didn't really get much better than that.
I swam between takes.
Yeah. You know, Nick, seeing you in this sort of tropical paradise location reminded me of Jurassic World almost. And a little bit different, you know, happier ending.
Yeah,
but
no dinosaurs.
Any possibility you might show up in the sequel?
I don't think so. I think they're shooting that right now, actually.
That'd be enough.
Sore spot.
You know, we have some audience Q&A, but before we go there, you know, this film has so many lessons, and something I really took away from it is just appreciating the smaller things in life, be it, you know, feeling sunshine on your face or meeting a stranger. I'd love to hear from each of you what's something that you took away from everything. Maybe we can start with you, Nicola.
Yeah, so I think one of the things I want people to take away is, you know, what is love worth risking for, right? So like, how vulnerable do you want to make yourselves for love? Because love is this wonderful, beautiful thing, but its loss can be so tragic. And it's so at once you have to be open to it in order to get it and keep it, but you have to, you know, protect yourself, and, you know, how do you strike that balance? So that's what the book is really a meditation on. And in the end, I think love is worth risking everything for, but I really want people to sort of think about that.
I mean, I feel like, to piggyback on that, like, vulnerability is just such a big, like, you know, a key theme in this for me, and why I wanted to do it, because of that feeling of how vulnerable you were willing to be the first time you fell in love, and the openness and the lack of, you know, defenses and reservation that you can have at that age when you've never been in love and had your heart broken and moved out of a house, and, you know, like, just that feeling of vulnerability. And I think that was so sweet and special between Maddy and Olly, and it's whether you haven't experienced it before, or, you know, because you're younger or you're older, and just remembering that moment, I think that's a beautiful kind of feeling to take away.
Sorry, Diana?
Well, I love the thought of taking risks, and for love, but not only for maybe a man, just for whatever you want, for whatever you wish to do in life, for something you want to accomplish. Just like that scene when she jumps, and, you know, that you're scared, but you are feeling free at that moment. So, you know, it's always good to take risks, and just, even if it wasn't the best risk, or maybe if later you are gonna regret it, your life is gonna change, and you're just moving things, you're moving energy, and that's what it's life for. If not, we will be just, you know, doing the same things over and over. So if you're not, you know, happy with your relationship, or how you're living, or with your work, or where you're living, or in a country, whatever, just take a risk and move and jump.
I love that. Nick?
Yeah, I think the film is, I hope people take away the importance of, you know, breaking down boundaries between people and between each other, and, like you said, taking risks in order to grow and mature as a person, and, you know, an appreciation for the present and the people around you, and the beach, maybe.
Yes. Anika?
I think that love can be found in the smallest places, in the smallest things. Love can be nourishing, or love can be stifling. And if we do not exercise self-care, we won't be able to give or receive love thoroughly or fully in the way that we want to.
Well, thank you all for sharing that with me. That was really special. I believe we have some audience Q&A.
Hi. Nice to meet you all. Congrats on the film. I know it's probably like really, really beautiful. Can't wait to see it. I'm really curious as a upcoming filmmaker and storyteller myself and viewing this as an adaptation and everything. For each of you individually, what did being a part of this project teach you about yourself? So as the writer, what did it teach you about when you finished it and it looked over? As a director, what did it teach you making it happen? As the actors, what did it teach you being a part and making it come to life?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the sort of craziest moments I had was when I read one of the versions of the script, and there was like scenes that Stella added too that were, I wish I had thought of when I was writing the book. And that was one of the nicest moments because there's now a new piece of art like separate from me, and it's really sort of wonderful to watch another artistic person create something based on what you've done. So now we have two stories of Maddy and Olly, and that's a really beautiful thing. So I think that was one of my favorite things.
Thank you. I mean, I'd never adapted anything before, so it was, when it came time to shoot, just getting the script, in place and trying to keep the spirit of the book and learning at the balance of what it's like to kind of have the source material but add to it to make it kind of a bigger visual experience and keeping in the spirit of the book as much as possible when you're deviating from it, because there's such a large audience that loved this book.
Just like to serve other characters. I think because it's a story of Maddy and what she, all the things she goes through. I was just very aware of not being selfish and thinking about, what Carla wants, like what does Maddy and, for example, the character of Pauline needs out of me, just to serve better the novel and the script and the adaptation. So I think sometimes as actors, you are more self, how do you say that? Like aware of, I want to do this with my character. No, you are there to serve others.
Yeah, I think I learned. I learned just how good-looking I really am.
I already knew that. I could have told you.
Nick, we told you since day one.
No.
Rehearsal.
I think I learned a lot by watching Stella work, the way that she works. And there's a scene where we're across from each other on this big glass plate, and Stella was playing all these romantic songs to kind of get us into the mood, and it was just a really great, open, creative work environment. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time on that, and working with all these great people.
Which songs were there? Those?
It was Dram Sing Special was one, which is actually a surprisingly romantic song.
But very manly.
Yes.
One thing I definitely learned is that it is important to put tropical travel in your contract. I was not there. I don't know yet, what I've taken as a lesson. As an actor, we're sort of close to it still. So sometimes you just need to let something live and breathe before you figure it out. And I don't think I've figured it out yet, but I can tell you that I felt really blessed to work with the people that I was working with and to have such a woman-strong piece, both in front and behind the camera, which was a gift.
Question over here.
Hi. So I love that a lot of the characters are how diverse the characters are, and in the story and in the movie. I was wondering if when you were writing it and when you guys were making the movie, was that something in the back of your mind that you wanted, or was that just second nature by now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely at the forefront of my mind, right? So Maddy looks the way she does because my little girl looks like that. When I was a kid, I did not see myself in stories that much. And I wanted for my little girl to be able to see herself in a story when she grew up. I always talk about this, but we talk about diversity as if it's a big political issue, but it isn't, right? It's really, really personal. Everyone deserves to see themselves as the hero of a story. And it's like my reason for existing is to write more stories that reflect the world that we live in. We live in a big and beautiful and diverse world. And the world is more beautiful because of its diversity. And it's our job to show the world as it is. It's our job to tell the truth.
Let's give it up for that. And we have one more question.
Hi, I was wondering what was your favorite part of taping and what was the hardest part of taping?
Let's see. I would say the scariest part of the shoot was all the underwater work with Amandla, because there was literally like a guy under the water holding her foot, and she was holding her breath.
Who didn't speak English?
Who didn't speak English. And I was just like, please don't let me kill like the voice of a generation in my movie. So, that was definitely a leap. I'd never done a lot of water work and underwater work, so it was challenging, and I think it paid off. And I would say, sorry, Anika, but shooting in Mexico was definitely the most fun.
In my contract.
When they called cut and people had, tequila and cerveza on ready. Yes.
I'm Mexican, so I was begging you guys.
You should have came.
I told
Come
you.
on.
I told everyone in production, like, you need someone to translate, to get into the restaurants, to order food. Nothing.
You could have been in the water with them.
So disappointed, like Anika.
It's all right. We're gonna go together, and we're gonna send them pictures.
Yes.
We're not gonna work.
I've shot in Mexico my whole life.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Everyone can catch Everything, May 19th. Thank you so much, everybody.